Today we're going to be crocheting this very simple knit-like crochet beanie. And for our beanie, I am working with some size 4 medium weight wool yarn by the Cascade Yarns, and I'm also using a size G or 4 1/4 millimeter crochet hook, and you will need a stitch marker of some kind. You can grab a scrap piece of yarn or a safety pin if you don't have an actual stitch marker. And we're going to begin with a magic circle, so take your tail and drape it over your working yarn and pinch that intersection. You're going to insert your crochet hook and yarn over and pull through, and then separate out your loop. From here we're going to chain 1, and we want to place 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet until we have a total of 10 stitches inside of our magic circle. So just alternating between single and double crochet stitches. And once you have your 10 stitches in place, go ahead and pull on your tail to tighten the gap in your magic circle. And from here, what we're going to do is place 1 single crochet and 1 double crochet in each stitch in our row, starting with our first single crochet. So we want to skip our little chain stitch here. Again, that's 1 single crochet and then 1 double crochet in each stitch. And you want to make sure you mark the first stitch of your row. And the easiest way I know how to do that is to place your first 2 stitches and then go back and mark the first. And at the end of this row, you should have a total of 20 stitches. And at the end of your row, you can remove your stitch marker. And the pattern for row 3 is to place 1 single crochet in our first stitch. Then we want to place 1 double crochet and 1 single crochet in our next stitch. And don't forget to mark that first stitch. And then in our next stitch, we're going to place 1 double crochet. So basically we're alternating between placing 1 and 2 stitches going around our row, and we're just going to keep alternating between single and double crochet stitches. And at the end of this row, you should have a total of 30 stitches. And you know if you did this correctly if you ended on an increase and your last stitch was a double crochet. And at the end of your row, you can remove your stitch marker. And for our next row, we want to continue to alternate between single and double crochet stitches, but we want to place 2 stitches in every 3rd stitch. And for this row, we're going to start with a double crochet rather than a single crochet. So that's going to be 1 double crochet in our first stitch, 1 single crochet in our second stitch, and we're going to go back and mark that first stitch. Then we want to place 1 double crochet and 1 single crochet in our 3rd stitch. And we are going to repeat this pattern going around our row, and when we get done, we should have a total of 40 stitches. And you should have ended your last stitch on an increasing stitch, and your very last stitch should have been a single crochet. And the pattern for our next row is to place 1 stitch in our first 3 stitches and then 2 stitches in our 4th stitch. We're going to begin this row with a single crochet. So that's going to be 1 single crochet, then a double crochet, then a single crochet in those first 3 stitches. We're going to go back and mark our first stitch. Then we're going to place 1 double crochet and 1 single crochet in our 4th stitch. And we're just going to continue to alternate between single and double crochet stitches, and then we're going to place 2 stitches in our 4th stitch, going all the way around our row, and when we get done, we should have a total of 50 stitches. And you should end your last stitch on an increasing and have a double crochet. We can remove our stitch marker. And the pattern for our next row is to place 1 stitch in these first 4 stitches and then 2 stitches in our 5th. And we want to begin this row with a single crochet again. So we're just going to alternate between single and double crochet stitches while following that pattern. And don't forget to mark your first stitch. So we're just going to follow this pattern going all the way around our row, and when we get to our stitch marker, we should have a total of 60 stitches. And you should end your row with an increasing stitch, and you should have ended your last stitch on a double crochet. We can go ahead and remove our stitch marker. And for this next row, we're going to place 1 stitch in our first 5 stitches and then 2 stitches in our 6th. And we want to begin with a double crochet, again with that alternating double crochet, then single crochet pattern. And we want to mark that first stitch. And we're going to repeat the pattern of placing 2 stitches in every 6th stitch going around our row for a total of 70 stitches. And you should have ended on an increase, and your last stitch should be a single crochet. And that was our last row of increasing. So if this is bowing at all, just lay it down flat like this and just smooth it out as you work. And so from here, we're going to add 1 more stitch. So in your next stitch, I want you to place a double crochet and a single crochet here. From here, we're just going to alternate between double and single crochet stitches going around our row. And if at any point you wonder if you're doing this correctly, you should be working the opposite stitch from what you have in your previous row. And this is a little bit of a challenge for row counting, so I do recommend marking this first stitch of this first row, and you can just keep your stitch marker in this stitch as you add additional rows. And we are going to repeat this pattern for a total of 26 rows. And once you've crocheted your 26 rows, your beanie should look something like this. And we're going to make sure we've ended on a single crochet stitch, and then all we're going to do is place 1 slip stitch in our following stitch. From here, we're going to cut and tie off our yarn. And I like to weave my tail in the direction I was crocheting for a few stitches and then up the inside of my beanie. And once you're done hiding your tails, then your beanie should look something like this. If this video helped you, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel, Crochet with Julie. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.